Hello! Hello and welcome to the second episode of Mass Effect. You'll have to forgive everything here a little bit. As you can see, there's kind of a different camera angle. That's because I actually, during some of the downtime on the channel here, I actually got a new desk. So, I'm still kind of, working all the kinks out on this new desk. I like it a lot, but I don't know if I have it set up the way that I want to have it set up right now. So it's one of these corner L-shaped desks, and I got the monitor that I'm going to be playing on is directly in front of me. The other monitor that I use a lot for editing is right here, for editing videos and everything. So it's a little bit of a chaotic mess right now, but we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, when I had originally streamed Mass Effect, and you guys get to look at my Great Justice League background. My background changes all the time on the computer. When I originally started this whole idea of playing through Mass Effect, I did it as a one-off, and people seem to really, really enjoy seeing me play modded Skyrim. Wow. Modded Mass Effect. So I decided to make it a video series on the channel. So how this is going to work, and I kind of explained it in my other video, but I felt for the next episode I should explain it more clearly here. Very so often here I'm going to play about an hour or so tonight specifically of the game. It's not going to be as much as I close that. It's not going to be as much tonight. Part of it is because I actually work very early tomorrow. So it's not going to be a full-on big long stream tonight, but we're going to go ahead and kick shit off here with the next episode of this. So how this is going to work is when I start the episodes, you're going to see kind of like the old Marble Gallery setup here, and then I'm actually going to switch it over to full screen, so it's going to be more like a Let's Play where you actually get to see the full game and not really see my, ugly mug. But rest assured, new videos are coming on the channel. I'm taking a break until the end of September here to work on both stuff for Horror Fest, and I'm still kind of ironing the kinks out on that one, and also play some other games and get some reviews done up here. I actually just picked up my copy of Spider-Man for PS4, so I'm excited to dig into that game. I'm really excited to dig into Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I'm actually in the process of replaying the Tomb Raider games. I'm almost at the end of Rise right now, and Rise was a game I kind of rushed through and when it first came out because I wanted to play Fallout 4, and I'm really finding myself really, really enjoying Rise of the Tomb Raider a second time through. So anyways, enough chit chat. We can talk about that as we play some Mass Effect here. So let's go ahead and switch things over to the full screen here of the game. And I'll have to, adjust some shit here on the fly. Hopefully everything's working. It seems like the stream's going to be okay. I remembered to, restart shit before. And actually, I got to restart that really quick. So while that's working and ironing the kinks out of, wonderful Steam here, we'll get that off the screen. I guess we'll come back here while we're waiting for that. So, couple other things are coming up for the channel. I guess I'll go over these while Steam is doing whatever the hell it's doing. So some things coming to the channel. Obviously, there's going to be some big reviews. I'm planning on doing a review of Spider-Man. I'm planning on doing a review of the other big damn... Oh, of course. It's got to remind me I'm using a damn controller. Close. Okay. Alright, let's see here. This looks like this shit's ready to go. We're going to go back to full screen here. And we're going to go ahead and load up Mass Effect. And I apologize again here at the beginning that Mass Effect here is going to have this like weird thing for the HD texture pack. And that's going to be a little funky, but we'll get through it here. So you can enjoy that weird-ass background. Other game, obviously, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Really, really excited about that. Going to be doing a full review of that game as well. So I plan on diving in Spider-Man here probably on Sunday. And after... I'll start Spider-Man, I'll put it down to play through Shadow of the Tomb Raider, then I'll pick Spider-Man back up. So I probably won't have a review of Spider-Man until October-ish, most likely. Shadow of the Tomb Raider is the game I'm most excited about playing, if I'm being honest. let's see what happens here. And I see that the stream quality is already dipping, so which is going to start infuriating me, of course, because like it's just such a piece of shit sometimes. All right. I don't even remember where I left off, man. Like it's been a spell, as they say. I guess I'll just hit resume and we'll see what happens. I don't even remember where the shit I was in this game. Should all remind me here in a moment. Oh, okay, cool. I think we're getting close to the point where we can go get Rex.
Hello there, human. Sincere apologies, but I am here on business and cannot be distracted right now.
You seem distressed. Is there something I can do to help?
Alarm.
What did I name my shepherd in this game? I don't even remember. We should probably look at that.
This is all going
So Mass Effect is it's going to be a long undertaking. It's gonna take me a bit to get through this game, for sure. I've actually never played through the PC version of the game, so this is gonna be fun. Especially playing this game with the HD texture pack. It just looks absolutely stunning.
She has compromised my authority as a diplomat.
Where can I find the Cesari consort?
She is across the bridge from here. Her offices are easy enough to spot. Good day, human.
Alright, let's see here. That's one of the keepers. So if you're living under a rock and you've never played Mass Effect for some reason that I don't grasp or understand at all, it is a great game. It's still going to run a little janky, like even playing this PC version, like, well, the frame rate is better, I will say that. It's still kind of janky at times. I mean, this was a janky-ass video game in 2007. There's no two ways around that. But it is a hell of an experience. I love the entire trilogy. I'm not one of those people that have a hatred on 3. Like, I fully understand where people are coming from on 3 and some of the hatred. I honestly think that they fixed a lot of the problems I had initially with that ending, with that extended cut DLC that they released for free, kind of answering some of the questions that were raised immediately. But I never had a problem with the game's end. I mean, it's an ending, so. Gosh, this game's kind of chugging a little bit here. Oh, we can talk to the Hanar.
Ah, human. This one is greatly pleased to see you here in my decadent emporium.
I'm gonna mostly do a Renegade playthrough. I find the Renegade stuff, the shit is just more fun.
Please take time to examine the fine goods it has for purchase, all of great worth.
No thanks.
Return soon. This one.
Oh, there's the preaching Hanar over here. Can I run? Okay, cool. Like, let's start getting through this shit faster. Oh, here he is. The problem is I don't know if I have my points up high enough to take care of this shit.
Do you desire to learn of the Enkindlers? Or has the Honorable CSEC officer enlisted assistance?
Why is the CSEC officer harassing you?
The CSEC officer requests that this one purchase an evangelical permit to spread the truth of the Enkindlers.
I'm just gonna be an ass.
This is the Presidium, not a church. Evangelize somewhere else.
Harsh.
This one's beliefs will not be suppressed.
Wow.
If others wish to try.
That Hanar refuses to listen to reason. Why can't it act in an orderly and lawful manner?
Because it's a big, stupid jelly.
How can I convince my superior that I deserve a
Wow.
promotion if I cannot convince this annoying jelly to leave? I am not unreasonable. The Hanar is free to spew its nonsense once it purchases an evangelical permit.
If you can't solve this problem, you don't even deserve to be a CSEC.
I didn't ask for your help, human.
Oh, I forgot. That's one of the options where they don't
How
do
can I
anything.
convince myself I am not unreasonable. The Hanar is free to spew its nonsense once it purchases an evangelical permit.
Why don't you just arrest the Hanar?
I could arrest the jelly, but my superior has requested that I find a solution that does not anger the Hanar. The Hanar become vocal when they feel their religious beliefs are being suppressed.
If you'd like, I could talk to the Hanar.
I've argued with the stubborn jelly all afternoon.
The CSEC officer states that preaching in this place is forbidden, and preaching anywhere on the Citadel requires a permit. This one humbly submits that it is not preaching to state the truth of the Enkindlers, and thus no permit should be necessary.
The CSEC officer is just doing
Just
his job.
doing his
No
job.
cause
I forgot about this. The
This one is too
HD
humble
eyes,
to
man.
suggest that
The
CSEC
HD eyes are
officer
weird
is
as shit.
personally biased. This one only wishes to spread the truth to any who will listen. There is no intent to cause trouble.
See, I don't have enough points yet. I gotta be more of a evil woman
This one will
here.
continue to spread its message.
Let me see here. Let's load up the. Actually, you know what? Let's look at my squad here. Lacey Shepard. I can't remember what the hell I named her. Okay, Intimidate. That's up all the way, so I don't. Let's see. I kind of want to unlock shotguns. Put one there. Throws pretty great. Okay. Whoops. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, shit's going fast. Overkill. That's fine. First aid. Terrain agent. Decrypt. One thing I'll say about this controller mod is, like, it's cool. It works fairly okay. Like, fairly okay, I would say. It's not perfect. Sometimes you can scroll, like, as you see here, like, I'm just clicking this once. And sometimes it does, like, a double-click thing. So it kind of feels like that early, like, controller on PC. Like, if you ever played a game back in, like, I don't know, I'd say, like 2005, 2006, like, with PC. Like, a PC game with controller support that you kind of hacked in yourself. That's what it feels like. It's weird. It doesn't feel like your basic native controller support. So, I'm just kind of dumping points and shit here. Let's get her decryption up. And sure, why not? Okay. We might as well bust a save right here. Who cares? Sure. So one of the struggles here with this dumb desk is, like, the way I have my actual computer tower set now, it sticks out in a weird way, so I have to sit weird, which sucks. I gotta fix that. I just haven't had time, like, between work and shit, but I'm happy to have a new computer desk. That other one that I was using, which I don't know if I ever showed anyone on stream or behind the scenes or any one of those videos, what that thing looked like, but that thing was a gift from a friend from, like, 10 years ago that served its purpose for a very, very long-ass time. A very long-ass time. And it was time to retire it. It was starting to get warped and shit. This thing's much better. It allows me to have more space here. It's actually kind of nice because, like, on one end here, you guys can't see because I don't have the camera on right now, but I have my SNES and NES Classic on this table, and then if I, for whatever reason, ever need to move a system over here, I have that ability as well now. So, another thing that I'm going to be doing on the channel probably in the next week or two here is, and I think I announced this as well, maybe on the last stream, or I'm going to be doing kind of a test stream. It's not going to be archived like these Mass Effect ones or some of my other streams and shit, but I'm going to be doing a test stream specifically testing the newer Elgato and also the HDMI GameCube adapter. So I'm going to test out some of these GameCube games and stuff that I've picked up over the last couple months here.
The Quarians endangered the entire galaxy when they let the Geth break free. I hope your people have properly contrived are properly contrite for releasing the genophage upon the Krogan.
I will say it's really nice, like, to actually play Mass Effect 1 at 60 frames. Like, you guys kind of see I keep spinning the camera around a lot because it's something it's foreign to me. Like, I've played through the original Mass Effect so many times, and up until this HD mod, I would have told you the best way to experience this game is through backwards compatibility on Xbox One, but this is a really solid way to play the game too, and it's obviously it's not very hard to mod either. So, which, you know, sometimes games become kind of a bitch to mod. Like, for some reason, like, I struggle getting Fallout 4 mods to work, and then there was a specific mod that I wanted in Fallout 4 that no longer exists, and that kind of dampened my mood on doing that, so I kind of passed off on that for now. And then Skyrim, I actually re-picked up. I tried to play the Switch version of Skyrim, and I don't know. Like, it's really cool that that game exists on a Nintendo console. It's quite a feat that they were able to do it. I'm trying to remember. Isn't the Citadel Tower? No, that's... Embassies is where we came from. Back once. Cora's Den and the Med Clinic we've already been to. So I'm trying to go... Like, in my head, I know where it is. I'm just being an idiot about it. Let's go to the Citadel Tower. What's the other... This is not where I wanted to be. The shit, man. I can picture where it is. Like, that's what sucks. Whoops. Whoops. I didn't mean to do that. Whatever. That's where we're going. I kind of just want to get Rex and leave and go get Liara. Okay, I kind of know where we are now. Skyrim. So, as I was saying, I had the Switch version. I picked it up not very long after it came out, actually. And I had this whole idea. I was like, I'm gonna play through Switch on this. I'm gonna play through Skyrim on the Switch. It's gonna be great. And I played a little bit. I'm just like, man, you're going back to vanilla Skyrim, and man, that's not what I want to do ever. And the more I played, the more bummed I just got as I was playing it. Just like, this, I don't want to experience this game like this anymore, man. And so I, for the first time in a while, I ended up actually trading that game in, and I think it was around the time they did a deal on the Xbox Live where the Xbox One version was on sale. So I re-picked up the game. Like, I've bought Skyrim so many times, it's disgusting. But I re-picked it up, and I've actually been doing the... Because I was more, like, morbidly curious to see how mods would work on a console. And I have to say, like, yes, you sacrifice having 60 frames by playing it on the Xbox One X, but you're playing it at native 4K. It looks incredible. But modding on the Xbox, really solid. Not something I would have expected. And I've kind of off and on, kind of messing around with that a little bit, but that was kind of a summer thing. And so, like, we're like Spider-Man, as I guys showed you at the beginning of the stream, like that's here, like the fall season is in a huge kickoff here.
You, human, you the one they call Shepard.
That's me.
I'll be nice to Rex, because he's my favorite.
Rex. The Shadow Broker paid me a lot of money to get rid of Fist. Only you got there first.
Taking care of Fist was part of my investigation.
When I get paid to do a job, I finish it. Although,
I don't like where this is going.
but I didn't finish this job, Shepard. You did.
To be fair, I will say all day it was really tempting for me to
You're gonna pay me for getting rid of
just
Fist?
play Spider-Man tonight. Like, really, really tempted. And I was like, no,
I like the way
I have to finish Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Now I hear you're going
I feel kind of bad because I had rushed through that game the first time, and I feel like I'm rushing through that game again, but I've really, really enjoyed my time playing through that game again. Like, it's really good. You've made your
We'll take you with
case.
us, Rex.
Smart move.
Alright, so who's the other person I have with me? Tally? I never roll a Tally. Alright, add. Good to go. I mean, at this point, like, there's some stuff you can do on the Citadel, but I feel like it's not really worth doing until you've come back. I just dumped a lot in that, but it's worth it, man. And we'll dump another into warp. Let's do it. Bust out another save here. We'll actually save over that last save because who cares? All right. I don't know if I've ever told my story about Mass Effect and how I was into this game on stream, or I should probably mention that. So, Mass Effect 1, this game, which is arguably one of my favorite games of all time now. When this game first released and I picked it up at launch, you know, I was excited about it because I was a big fan of the original Knights of the Old Republic. I didn't really play a lot of 2, but I played the shit out of the original one. And I was excited, like, oh, these guys are making this new big space epic. It's going to be really excited. And I got it, launch day. I played through to about where we are right now. And for whatever reason, I couldn't get into the game. I just didn't care, man. And, oh, maybe we can't leave yet because I'm being an idiot here. Let's look at my journal really quick. Oh, that's right. We have to go back. I forgot. We have to go back and do that shit first. Okay. And I sat down. I played like maybe a day or two. And think about this. This would have been November of 2007. This was the fall of Halo 3. This was the fall of Call of Duty Modern Warfare, changing, you know, console shooters forever. A bunch of other big titles and stuff came out that fall, and I played like a half hour, or up to this point, maybe it's like 2 hours at this point. I just couldn't get into the game. I just walked away really disappointed, and like part of it was like, oh, it's not Star Wars, and personally, I've never been a huge Star Trek person, so and maybe that's part of it. And I kind of was like, I don't really care, and I put the game down for a year and a half. I played other games. I, you know, went about my business and just did my thing, and really didn't give it a fair shake. And what happened is, like through another friend, I obviously they started ramping up like, hey, Mass Effect 2 is coming out, and then one of my friend, my best friend, his brother, really into Mass Effect. I was getting really pumped for the new one, and I started watching the trailers and stuff. Like, yeah, maybe I should give that first game a try again, and maybe I should, you know, maybe I should. And I remember borrowing it from a friend, and it was like, this would have been like April of like, I want to say 2009. Citadel Tower. 2009. And I just plowed through this game like 3 times over. I did everything. I got sucked into it in a really big and bad way. And man, just how wrong I was about Mass Effect.
Yes, is there something you want? Why are you so interested in the key?
And I'll say, like, what I'll say about the Mass Effect trilogy as a whole, I think 3 has the best controls, and I really love that co-op mode too. Like, I really got into that with a group of friends and stuff. Like, we played so much of that.
Just talking.
And for whatever reason, the first one has always been my favorite. I like the more RPG elements than 2 and 3, they kind of simplified that, made it more of a shooter, which is fine. But 1, I think, was the perfect balance of that. The controls are a little weird. Obviously, then we didn't get Mass Effect for a while, and then we got Andromeda, and everybody knows how Andromeda went. And there are people that defend Andromeda and really like Andromeda and think it's a great game, and that's fine. But I personally, it's actually funny. I put 50 hours into Mass Effect Andromeda. I don't know. I don't remember much of that 50 hours.
I'm Commander Shepard with the Alliance military.
Well, I suppose I could use the help.
I don't remember much of that game, just other than like weird, dumb, shitty bugs and stuff where I'm like, what the hell is happening? So, and I had 50 hours. Like, it's not a small amount of time to play that game. So.
Yes, I have. So long, and good.
All right, that's a fun, weird side quest we don't need to worry about right now.
Come on.
Let's do this. But yeah, Mass Effect 2 blew my mind when it came out too, and I played that game right away when it came out. Same with Mass Effect 3. I mean, I was in once I finally got over my reservations of this isn't Knights of the Old Republic and whatever. I really got into this franchise in a big bad way. So
I recognize the other voice, the one speaking with Saren. Matriarch Benezia.
Who is she?
Matriarchs are powerful Asari who have entered the final stage of their lives. Revered for their wisdom and experience, they serve as guides and mentors to my people. Matriarch Benezia is a powerful biotic, and she had many followers. She will make a formidable ally for Saren.
I'm more interested in the Reapers. What do you know about them?
Only what was extracted from the Geth's memory. The Reapers were an ancient race of machines that wiped out the Protheans. Then they vanished.
The Geth believe the Reapers are gods.
Someone at work actually asked me a good question the other day, which was what is your favorite midnight event you ever, I obviously I used to work at GameStop years ago, I guess is what I would say. Not that long ago, but obviously I worked at GameStop for many years, and obviously I bought a lot of games from there over a long period of time. And back, I mean, the thing about it today is like midnights, they're not a thing anymore, man. Like they used to be cool as shit. It used to be fun to go get a game at midnight. These days, it doesn't matter with the rise of digital. You can literally be sitting at your house in your underwear if you want. You can be sitting naked. Who cares? Doing whatever you want. Download your game at midnight or 11 o'clock or whatever, and you're good to go. 10 years ago it was different. So, and for me personally, favorite midnight launch, Halo 3, hands down. Probably the most crazy midnight I ever went to was Halo 3. Like, it was nuts how many people. I think the store, and this was the same store that I ended up working at later on, had over 500-600 reserves on that game. And you have to think about back at the time, like, there was no, digital store where you could just pre-order the game or whatever, like, stores like GameStop. I mean, this was also the time, like, GameStop kind of was the only place that did reserves on games. So, besides stuff like Game Crazy and some of the other, retail chains, but, GameStop, at least in the United States here, had a pretty big, stranglehold, I guess is the word I would use, on that stuff, so. But, shit, man, like, and I think about it, and I think about it, and I go back here, and I think about how big these midnights were, and I kind of saw from that point on, midnights slowly die, to the point that the saddest midnight that I ever worked was Uncharted 4. We had one person that wasn't an employee pick up the game. And it was like the most, like, why are we here, man? What are we doing? Why? It was one of those. And same with like Black Friday. You know, Black Friday is crazy as shit in the States, and I watched it from the first year I was at GameStop to the end. In fact, 10 years ago, I was working at Target, actually. And I obviously, I'm out of the retail bullshit these days, but my first job ever was at retail Target. That was the first Black Friday I ever worked. It was nuts, man. That would have been... Well, I worked from Target from 2000. I worked about 3 years, so 2005 through 2008. The first actual Black Friday I worked at Target, though, was 2007. For whatever reason, the first 2 years, I somehow lucked out and just didn't work on Black Friday. They just like didn't schedule me for some reason or whatever. And I always remember people were like jealous, and then they'd be like, "Oh, do you want to come in and work?" No, if I don't have to work, I'm not going to be here, man. And so that third year I was there, I worked, and that was the worst Black Friday I've ever experienced. It was insanity. It was the same fall that Rock Band was out. Guitar Hero 3, those are both huge games. I watched a pallet of Rock Band disappear in about 2 minutes tops. Like, I just literally watched a crowd of people storm this electronics section, because that's the section I worked in, and it just got demolished. It was gone. So.
This meeting of the council is adjourned.
Congratulations, Commander.
We've got a lot of work to do, Shepard. You're going to need a ship, a crew, supplies.
Shit, man. I also now that I think about it, I also remember the bullshit of like system launches, and because obviously I worked at GameStop at the time when the Xbox One and the PS4 launched, and that was fine. That was actually pretty big. I remember the 360 launched, and I was at a point where I was like, I don't know, man. I was a PlayStation kid until Xbox 360. You know, I was a PS1, PS2 kid, all the way.
What do you expect from a politician?
I had I'm trying to think about the how consoles went for me. It was original Nintendo, Super Nintendo. I never owned a Genesis as a kid. I played Genesis at like my cousin's house, and some of my friends had Genesis and stuff. But I always thought, as a kid growing up, I always thought this system is weird as shit. I mean, and now obviously being an adult, I think that system's cool as hell. I actually own a boxed one now, which is one thing I really enjoy, but having in my collection. But trying to think here. N64, and I was a Nintendo kid until I saw a friend. The hell was the kid playing? Well, I mean, one thing was like I watched my cousins play the original Tomb Raider, and I was super into that. And then it was kind of like, man, maybe I should get a PlayStation. Like, this system seems really cool.
So how about it, Gareth?
And then I bought a PlayStation the same day as the original Metal Gear Solid came out. Because I kind of had followed a little bit on that game. Was like, this game seems like it'd be pretty cool, and obviously Metal Gear Solid's a life-changing experience. And I got that game, and that's actually a funny story. I don't know if I've ever told that story on stream as well, but at the height of Pokemon craze, and as a kid, you know, the original 151 Pokemon, I was super in. I would have been like 5th or 6th grade at the time Pokemon hit. Prime age, maybe a year or two older than I should have been. But really into the idea, like really enjoyed it. I got into that cartoon. That's how I got a Game Boy. Played Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow. I think Yellow was the last one I really got into before I kind of was like, I think I'm done with Pokemon. And so I lived in a neighborhood where and as a kid growing up, I went to a private school, but the neighborhood that I lived in, I collected Pokemon cards. I traded them with kids that were like maybe 2 or 3 grades under me in the neighborhood. There weren't a lot of kids that were the same age as me in the neighborhood I lived in at the time. And so I started to realize that, being kind of a hoodlum kid, I started taking advantage of being an older kid while also being into Pokemon. So I started kind of doing shitty trades and collecting the different cards. And now today, looking back on it, like if I still had this, it'd be worth a lot of money. But I actually got enough to get that first edition set complete. Like I had the entire set of those cards complete. And the last thing I needed was like one of the foil Charizards, I think it was. And what I did was, there was a really dumb kid. I mean, at the time I thought he was a dumb kid, but there's a really dumb kid, like younger kid, that his mom had, and I feel like a piece of shit now for what I did, but back then I was like, whatever. I'm a dumb kid at the time. I don't care. What I did was, I knew the kid had this foil card, and I really wanted it, but I didn't want to give up anything else because I was trying to get this set. So I traded this kid like a couple Pikachus for this foil Charizard. Got it, and was like, okay, cool. And I remember telling my dad at the time and being like, all right, I want to go to this collectible store. I'm going to sell this. I'm going to get cash, and I want to buy a PlayStation. I remember my dad at the time was like, whatever, it's what you want to do. I don't care. And so we did it. He took me to the store, whatever, did it, went over, bought a PlayStation. The first games I bought were Metal Gear Solid and Final Fantasy VII. And then the thing with my dad when I was growing up always was like, if I bought a system, he would always buy one game for me. And same thing happened when I had a 64. And what happened was I didn't know about Symphony of the Night. That's how I discovered Symphony of the Night. And I bought my PlayStation from a mom and pop store. Or no, I take it back. I bought the PlayStation from Best Buy, but I bought the games from a mom and pop. There was a cool mom and pop video game store when I lived where I lived in Southern Illinois at the time. Super no longer there. In fact, I think today it's a GameStop, which is ironic and sad at the same time. That's your job, bitch. That's good. And so I went out, I got this stuff, and then I saw the Castlevania game, and it blew my mind. And I was in since day one on Castlevania as a kid, so I saw that and was just like, I have to get this game. I didn't know there was a new Castlevania game. This is insane. And that was a game my dad bought me. So I had 3. So I mean, you think about like what a fantastic trio of games. As a kid, you get a PlayStation, and you're getting Final Fantasy VII, Metal Gear Solid, and Symphony of the Night all in one go. It's one of the best packages you could ever get as a kid. So anyways, I got this, whatever. Maybe a day or two went by. This kid's mom, like the kid must have went home, realized what he had done, realized, oh man, I screwed up. And went home, told his mom. Mom came over, like found our house. And I don't even remember how often I had seen this kid, because I just saw him at like the park by my house, the playground, whatever. Kid comes over, kid's mom comes over, and asks, hey, I really need that card back. I don't, and again, I was a kid, I don't remember with him. But the kid comes over, the kid's mom comes over, talks to my mom at the time, is just like, hey, we really need to have this card back. Your son kind of ripped my son off, and I paid a lot of money for that card, and I just can't do that. And I just remember, my mom, not being happy about it, but coming and asking me, like, do you have this kid's card? And I remember looking at her just like, those are the cards I just sold to the store. And she had to explain to this lady, like, he doesn't have this anymore. Like, he sold all this. And you think about it today, like, in today's day and age, with social media, what it is and everything, like, it would be something to be on social media. I would have been reamed for it. As a kid, it was kind of a whatever. Like, this parent was pissed off, but she left. And then my mom was just kind of like, don't do anything like that ever again. And it was, one of those life lesson moments and shit. But that's how I got my PlayStation. I love the shit. The PlayStation, one of my favorite systems of all time. I love the shit out of that system. If I look at that era between the PlayStation and the N64, PlayStation was my system. Like, I had started with the 64, I had both, and I hit the ground running with the PlayStation, never looked back. And then obviously the PS2 came out. That shit blew my mind as a kid. I saved up. I spent that entire summer mowing lawns. I saved up. My dad's thing was like, hey, if you save up, I'll go at midnight. I'll just go to Walmart. No one's gonna be there. You know, no one will be there, and I'll just go pick it up. I'll take your money, and when you wake up in the morning, it'll be here. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then, as everybody knows, you know, everybody knows exactly what that shit was. We started seeing shit on the news that night about how people are in line. And my dad's just like, maybe you should call that Walmart by your house and see. And I called, and they're like, no, there's 22 people in chairs waiting. We have 22 systems. We don't have any extra. And the same could be said about every store in the remaining area was just sold out of this system. People waiting everywhere, and it was a damn bummer. And I spent, as a kid, I would have been 8th grade. I spent every day. This was my ritual. I can't remember which. Maybe it's Athens. We'll go to all 4. Who cares? It was my daily after-school ritual. I would get home, I'd make a sandwich, I'd get on the phone, and I would call all these retail stores. Hey, do you have any PS4s in? I probably became known as the PS4 kid at this point. Or PS2. And I kept calling and was like, oh, did you guys get any PS2s in? No. Okay, cool. I'll call tomorrow, And I did this, and I had a list. I went down. It was like Target, Walmart, Best Buy. Probably was even calling the GameStop there, the local game store that was there at the time. I was just bing, bang, boom, calling every day. I called every single day from October 26th when the system launched until February 14th, Valentine's Day 2001, when they finally got more systems in. And I will never forget the day I called and the guy on the phone was like, yeah, we have some right now. What? We have some right now. And then it was, well, can you hold them? No. And I remember I got off the phone. I was losing my shit as a kid. Like, oh, I can't, like, they have them. I remember telling my mom was like, you have to wait. You have to wait till your dad gets home. And I had to wait till my dad got home from work as a kid. And it drove me nuts. And it was a shit show mess. It was a damn shit show mess. Hold on. What damn thing was this on? Alright. Be a moment here. It was a mess, man. Like, I remember... And I remember how nuts it was. It was every day. And the thing that sucked too is, at the time, like I said, I went to a private school, and we carpooled with another kid that was in my neighborhood. But he was like far. Now when I think about it, like, I could have totally walked to this kid's house, but as a kid, parents being what they were, like, no, you don't want to, do that. And he got one. And I remember I was bummed as shit. He got one for Christmas. And that was like 2 months of this kid every day carpooling, this kid rubbing it in. I got a PS2 and you don't have a PS2. And just being like, oh man. Just being bummed, man. And then finally getting that system, and I think I bought it. I bought a memory card, and I bought Time Splitters. The original Time Splitters, I keep saying too. And that's how I got my PS2. And then that would have been February of 2001. And then obviously I was always a Nintendo kid, and I thought the 64 was great, and I was really excited about the GameCube. And I wasn't really. I was also that kid that was not an Xbox kid. was anti-Microsoft getting into the game industry. I thought they were going to fail as a kid. I was that smart out kid. Was like, no, they're going to fail this. This is going to be bad. Nobody's going to buy an Xbox. And so between those two systems, I was like, I'm going to get a GameCube. And I did the same thing the following summer. I mowed a bunch of lawns, saved up my money for the GameCube. And I think the GameCube, when it came out, was $199, if I remember correctly. And at the time, at this time I had moved. I was living in a suburb of Detroit, Michigan. And I actually lived right behind, I'm doing some sweet tricks here. I actually lived right behind a Super Kmart, which is no longer there. In fact, the last time I heard, it's an IKEA now. And and this was the time I was like, nope, I'm going to get there as early as hell, and I'm going to be that person that waits, and this is how this is going to go. And what I did was I went in there, I camped out, and I got there. I got there when the store opened. So 8 a.m.? Like 8, 9 o'clock. Like I woke up early that day. I was like, screw it. This is my day. This is what I'm gonna do. And me and another friend from my neighborhood, we went up there. I walked in. I went to the sporting goods section. I got myself a comfy ass chair. Sat myself down in the aisle behind the video game section. And I literally told the people, I'm like, I'm starting the line for the Nintendo GameCube. And I was the first person that started getting GameCube. And I think if I started, let's be generous and say I lined up at like 10 a.m. that day. I think it was 10 a.m. because it wasn't quite when the store opened. In fact, I know it was 10 a.m. because I was worried the whole time, like, ah, shit, somebody's going to have beat me here. And nobody did. And, let's save here really quick. And, I remember it was like several hours before somebody else showed up. And finally somebody else showed up, and it was like, okay, everything's good. There were some nice ladies that bought me. There was like a mom and like maybe her mother, and they were camping out because they were getting a GameCube for Christmas for their kids. They were super nice. They held my spot in line a couple times. They bought me pizza. Like it was cool. I waited 14 hours, man, and got that GameCube. I loved the GameCube. That was another system. And the only reason I bought a GameCube at the time, other than I was kind of a Nintendo kid up to this point, Resident Evil Remake. I had saw that trailer. I had saw what that game looked like. It blew my mind as a kid. I thought this was the greatest thing. I could not wait. I was bummed that the game got delayed, because originally I think it was supposed to be a launch title, and then they delayed it till the following May. And I ended up buying Rogue Squadron or whatever. Was it Rogue? Maybe it was Rogue Squadron 2 or whatever that game was. That was the first game I bought. I didn't buy Luigi's Mansion like everybody else. And actually, completely honest gaming confession here. And actually kind of also a tease for Horror Fest. I have never played Luigi's Mansion. It is one game that has eluded me. I do own it. And I am planning on doing something with that game for Horror Fest. But I've never played that game. I did play a little bit of... Oh, shut up, game. You can't park here! Like, what are you talking about? It's a level terrain. There we go. I've never played Luigi's Mansion. I did play a little bit of the 3DS one, Dark Moon, but I have never played the original. So, the more you know. I know you're in here. Holy shit, man. And then the original Xbox, like I said, I was one of those kids that trashed that system. Like, this sucks. They're not going to do it. Nobody's going to care. And what I did there, actually, is... I did finally get one. I owned one when Halo 2 came out. I bought it that September. I got it because I wanted to play Fable, and I wanted to play Halo 2. And the only game, obviously, that came out, everybody was talking about Halo. Obviously, you guys know I'm a huge Halo fan. And my experience with Halo was I didn't know much of it. Like, I'd seen a little bit. Okay, I get it. I'd seen a little bit of it. I knew about it. God, the controls in the car are very sensitive with this controller thing. If you guys see me jerking a little bit on this controls here, it's the controls of this controller are jerky as hell with the Mako. And what happened is my buddy that lived down the street was like, we went to Family Video because I loved Family Video. I used to rent games and shit from there all the time, and they were, you know, allowing you to rent game systems and shit. And we just happened to go one day, and this guy behind the counter was like, "Do you want to rent an Xbox? We got one." And this was like, if the Xbox came out in November 2001, this would have been January 2002. So it wasn't long after the system had come out, because it was almost like a secret to me. Like, this guy was like whispering it to us, like, "Do you want to rent an Xbox? Like, I got one here." You know, as kids, we were like, "Oh, holy shit!" And it was one of those things where for systems you had to have like a credit card put down or something, because, you know, you could rent a system and just walk off with it. And I remember I had to convince my mom to do it, but she did it, and we rented. I'm trying to remember what the other game was, but obviously one of the games we did was Halo. And my buddy and I just had a blast that weekend. That's all we did. We played through that entire Halo campaign. We played a shit ton of multiplayer. And the whole time he's like, "I don't know why you didn't get an Xbox while you got this GameCube. Like, you should have got an Xbox." And that was my only experience. From 2002 until I bought one finally in 2004, I had not touched an Xbox since. I maybe played Halo at like a friend's house or something. That was it. I did not touch that system for like 2 years, and I missed out on so many incredible original Xbox games. Like, it's disgusting to me how many good games came out on that system, and how good, like, that was a good ass video game system that I legit am embarrassed I didn't own, because there were so many great games that came out for it. But and at that time too, like, I wasn't an Xbox kid and I didn't really give a shit. And then we got to Xbox 360, and I remember I wasn't really. This is right when I kind of had, as everybody does, has their PC renaissance, as I like to call it, where somebody's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna play PC games and you know, forget consoles. Consoles suck," and ha ha ha. And I just realized I'm going back the wrong way here, and you know, had that moment. And then it was kind of like a last minute thing where I was like, I had a bunch of money saved up right after high school, and was like, you know what? I want to get an Xbox 360. And obviously at the time, no one was reserving them anymore. I forgot how shitty this map is. You know, nobody was really reserving them anymore and shit, and I had to wait. And at the time I worked at Target, and they had told me, they're like, "You're not going to get one here." You know, and Target handled it, like, I will say, out of anywhere I've ever worked and a hot product has come out, Target handled this system launch worse than anything I've ever seen before or since. What they did was, if you remember when the Xbox 360 came out, there was the like standard, like it was called the Arcade Edition, and then there was the Premium Edition. The Premium Edition came with the 20 gigabyte hard drive that was on top of the system or the side, depending on if you were standing up or laying it down. And it came with a little media remote, and that's what I wanted. You know, that's what I had the money for. And so naturally, I was super excited and everything. It was like, oh, hell yeah, I can't wait. And you know, I tried to get to the point, I was like, oh, you know, it's cool. Me and my buddy will get one here at Target, and I'll just have him, you know, have him help and everything. And they were like, nope. Like Target pretty much was like, nope. And so I really didn't think I was going to get one from Target. And so my buddy at the time worked at Kohl's, and he, I remember he left work early. Like he was bummed out. He was legit bummed out. Like, I don't think I'm gonna get one. This sucks. And he was working that night, and I remember, like, I went in and I told him, like, hey man, I'm not gonna be able to get one held for you at Target. And he was bummed. And I remember not thinking much more of it. I kind of told him, and I left and I think I went home. Like, I don't really remember. And I remember him texting me like a little while later in the evening and just being like, hey, I'm at home. You should come over. I'm like, okay, whatever, sir. So I go over to his house, and he's just like, yeah, I left work. Don't tell my parents. I'm like, okay. And he just left work. Like, he didn't tell anybody. He was just so put down about it. He just left work. I'm like, okay, whatever. And kind of tried to make a plan of like, all right, how are we gonna get this system tonight? Like, how is this gonna happen? How are we gonna make this work? And we did some driving around. You know, we tried to go to a couple different stores. Excuse me. He had gone into Meijer, and Meijer does the shitty raffle thing where they give everybody a number and they put it in a hat and they pull from it and they raffle them off and like, oh, ha ha ha, because they don't want to have a shitty line. Like, I get it, but it's a shitty way to do it, but like, I also get it. It's shitty, but it's also fair at the same time, I guess. But at the same time, like, if you're somebody who stood there and waited all day and then, you know, the person that's been there for 5 minutes gets a ticket and you don't, like, I get it. I get both sides of it. So he had done that, didn't get in the raffle. Like, and we were both bummed at this point. So what we did was we went over to Toys R Us, which obviously is dead, and there were a couple people camping out, and I just remember it was cold. It was November. It was cold as shit outside, and we went, and there was these couple people outside, and this lady's just like, hey, I know for sure that they're gonna have, you know, X amount of these or whatever. And so we both kind of decided, like, he's like, you know what, I don't think it's gonna get any better than this. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, what do you want to do? And I remember he stayed, and I went home, and I think I like went back to bed for a couple hours or something, because at this point it was like midnight. And I told him, I was like, I'm gonna go home and sleep for a little bit. If you want to stay here, that's fine, and I'll come back and I'll bring you like breakfast or something. So I went home and I slept till about, I think, like 4 a.m. And then I went out and oh god, this thing's getting slapped up here. And I went out and I got like McDonald's breakfast or some bullshit. Went back, we ate it or whatever, and then I hung out with him there until like 6 a.m. because I knew at that point I'd be able to get into Target, you know, and I had purposely wore my Target clothes, so I wasn't even working that day. You know, so I was like, whatever, I need to get an Xbox. So I told my friend, I'm gonna go over to this. To my Target. I'm gonna see what the situation's like. If I can get you one there, then we will. I will come back. Oh god, I'm probably gonna die here. And why did I get out of this car? I'm doing really bad at Mass Effect tonight, by the way. And I'm like, I think you can just push this thing off. And I'm like, I go over there. So, and I get there. I get in, and like the employees are kind of shitty about it. Like, they're laughing and everything. They're like, look at all these people waiting in line, and we already have ours aside. I remember going and asking, like, well, I want one too. And I remember them being like, well, all the premium ones are spoken for. I'm like, How is that possible? Like, are you literally going to tell these people that have waited all night, sorry? Yeah. Okay, that's not going to go over well. And I remember the store manager was like, well, we got to make it work. Okay, you know, okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll just have this one, and we'll tell them we only got one. And so that's what they did. And the people outside were bummed, but like the first person in line is like, all right. And they all kind of agreed, like, okay, well, the first person here should be the one that gets that. And that's what they did. And so all these other stupid ass employees got these premium systems. And it was the kind of thing where it was like an unwritten rule of like, hey, do not bring these out until later in the day, and you can, we'll ring you up and everything. Okay, cool. And you want to wait, make sure at least that the line was out of the store. And this one woman, stupid woman that worked there, decided, no, I need to buy mine now because my kid wants it now. So she brings this out while this line is being checked out, knowing damn well that this is going to cause a just gigantic mess. And she brings it out in front of all these people, and they lose their shit. And I'm just like what is happening here? Like, why is this happening? Why is this woman doing this? This is just utter chaos and trash. And I remember people started throwing a real fit about it, as they should have. And I remember the store manager at the time was like, look, if you don't want the Xbox you currently have in your hand, I don't have to sell it to you. I could sell it to somebody else. And that kind of got people to shut up. But, like, it was just handled really shittily. For me personally, I got an arcade system, but then the store was set one extra hard drive you could buy on its own for $100. I got that one hard drive. And then what's funny is I had that system for a week. Literally had that system for 1 week, and it red ringed. And I had to send it in, and they just sent me a brand new Xbox. And what was funny too is they didn't send me a hard drive. Or I take it back. I took my hard drive. I didn't keep it. And they just sent me another hard drive. So I got an extra hard drive and ended up trading it in or something, getting like a lot of money at the time. Because this would have been like within the first month. So I went in and was like whatever the value was, and that was cool. I used that to buy another game. But that launch was the worst launch I've ever seen for a console. It was handled so poorly at that Target, where I'm just like, and I worked there, and I was just like, this sucks, man. Like, this is so poorly handled. Well, we get up here, we're gonna take care of this stuff, and then this is where we're gonna save it up for the night. As I said, this is gonna be a shorter stream because unfortunately I'm working early tomorrow, so not gonna be a longer stream. I still gotta iron out some of the kinks with the streaming too. Wow, her hair's not looking too good there. Oh my god. How are they both dead? Oh, I don't think I ever, The cover system in the first game, lacking, to say the least. I don't think I saved the game before this either. Oh my god, man. I'm just playing on normal, I thought, but maybe I'm playing... Wow. Wow. Why is my gun just... Oh. I think it's when you get... Gosh, some of the controls are hard to get used to in this version of the game. There we go. Wonder if I have a better take off. Whatever, take off. I probably don't have a better pistol, but it's always fun to check. 108 and accuracy's better, but it's not. Yay! Everybody get up! Yay! Let's go in here. We'll save it up. And we'll save it up for next time on the Mass Effect stream. Like I said, guys, I would have played longer tonight, but unfortunately, I kind of switched things up at work a little bit here, and I am no longer, I now work on Saturdays, and I'm off Thursdays, so at my work schedule. So, and the only caveat to that is I'm doing something else that I actually like a lot better than my standard thing that I do at work, but unfortunately, the one caveat is I have to be there at 7:45 in the morning. It sucks ass. So, hence the shorter stream tonight. We'll go ahead and switch it up here. Put the main camera back on. So as you guys can see here, I plan on doing more regular streams with Mass Effect in the near future here. I kind of wanted to just kick this shit off a little bit more here. Thank you for anybody who watched tonight, listened to me ramble about how I got old video game systems and kind of stumbled a little bit through Mass Effect here. As I said before, I'll be doing another episode of this in the near future. I will be doing a test stream at some point in the next month here before Horror Fest starts about that. And then Horror Fest will start. Mass Effect will be on hold for the month of October as I play horror games and shit. And then Mass Effect will resume in November. But full playthrough of Mass Effect coming on the channel to you. So anyways, new videos will be up at the closer towards the second half of the month here as I'm working on them behind the scenes. Thank you again for watching the stream, and have a good night.